So these are just some of the advantages I want to go over. So in order to finally get to a direct shipper warehouse style, the first step is we want to really get to know them. So we want to be able to build our understanding of our customer. We want to build our understanding of our ideal shipper profile. So what is an ideal shipper profile? It sounds fancy, but let me just break it down to you. It's your ideal customer, and what does the customer look like, right? So kind of like how I mentioned here, to know how to sell yourself, we need to know who we're selling to, but also who we're not selling to, right? And the better that you're able to break down this profile, the better you are to increase your own searchability. The better you are able to identify customers who are not going to fit your business. It's also better to be able to show that, like, hey, instead of saying I can do everything, you can say, hey, I'm really good at being able to do, like, my specialty is in cross-border California and Mexico, or my specialty is in hauling ice cream specifically, or my specialty is I know what it's like to do produce and all those kind of things, right? So it's better to have a clear message, and it's important to realize that you can't always please everyone. So knowing who is going to be your ideal shipper is going to be so helpful for you to be able to better talk about your strengths and why you're able to serve them better. And if you don't know who, I always like to say, start with who you don't want to work with. I had someone who was like, yeah, no, actually, I don't want to, I have reefers, but I don't want to deal with meat, and I don't want to deal with, frozen meat for XYZ reasons. But I like to deal with, with produce of some type, etc. So it's if you don't know who you want to go after, start with who you don't want to go after and work backwards. And this is a good way for you to target. And so if you don't know who you want, this is a template that I will share with you guys. It's our ideal shipper blueprint profile. It looks a little something like this. Let me show you really quick. This is a resource that we'll share with you guys. And then here, this is step 1, where you can go ahead and fill out your ideal shipper profile. And basically, this is a way for you to help yourself out with, understanding the patterns of your dream 10 customers. Break this down. Like, what commodities are you hauling? What are the size of the companies that you're talking about? What lanes do they do, right? Are they local? Are they across the country, etc.? So this is something that I'll share with you guys later. Let me go back to here and do full screen. But it's good to ask yourself these type of questions. Again, so that's something that we just went over through really quickly. So pre-visit, these are just some of the 3 simple steps that I always like to talk to people about. Like, hey, what is your niche, right? Who are the people you're trying to go after? Are you trying to go after people, like maybe you do dry freight, and then you like going after paper and corrugated goods, like cardboard boxes, What you can do is you can go on Google and you can literally just type in paper and corrugated manufacturers near me. I can literally show you guys that right now. There's also a number of other resources that I'll show you in the next slide here. You can use things like ThomasNet.com, LinkedIn, Google Maps, Zoom Info. But just for the sake of ease, I wanted to show you very quickly. Let's say corrugate manufacturers near me. And then we can see here that these are locations that they have. And I'm going to go ahead. Google did this new thing where I want to click into the map. Let me go on maps really quick. There we go. And from here, you'll be able to, so we're out of Southern California. As you can see, this is Los Angeles area. You can start mapping out different manufacturers that are near you and start planning out in-person warehouse visits, right? So I don't want to go into too much detail. Later on at the end of the presentation, if you'd like me to, I can. But just high level wise, these are some of the ways that you can go about. ThomasNet.com, Zoom Info, and LinkedIn are also more resources for you guys to be able to find shippers. But it's important, again, know who your customer is, know who's not your customer, and then start finding how to target them. So now we've figured out the people that we want to target. We found out the people who are shippers we want to go after. This is the question, and this is probably the biggest pain point that a lot of people have. Like, you guys might go and drop off at your shippers all the time. You might try to like talk to the decision maker, but this is the story that I hear a lot. This is a scenario, right? You're parked, you want to get in, you're like, how the heck am I going to get through the front door? How am I going to talk to that decision maker? And so many times the story that I hear is, all right, like you go through the front door, you walk into the lobby, and then there's a receptionist. And then what happens? You go to the receptionist and say, hey, I'm here to talk to the transportation manager. And 9 out of 10 times, what is that person going to say? They're going to say something along the lines of, I'm sorry, actually, I think they're in a meeting right now, or they're kind of busy at the moment, so they won't be able to talk to you. But if you just leave your business card and some of whatever information you have, then yeah, sure, I'll share it with them whenever they're ready, and they'll give you a call back, okay? And so that 9 out of 10 times, maybe even almost always, what's going to happen is they're not going to send their business card over to them. They're not going to take a look at it. It's going to get like put in the recycling or something, or put to the side of a table. So you just spent time driving over to a warehouse, taking time in your day to try to talk to someone that you couldn't talk to, wasted money on spending on like a business card that's not going to go anywhere. What's the point, right? But you know that you need to talk to a direct shipper, and this is actually one of the best ways to go about it. So how do you actually really make it past the front door? And you're going to probably laugh at me when I tell you, you don't go through the front door, you really go through the back. And so why not the front door? Again, the gatekeeper or the receptionist, that person is there. Their job is to keep you away from bothering their people from working. So we want to make sure we talk to the decision maker. And if you guys are a smaller or mid-sized trucking company, maybe you only have 6 trucks, 10 trucks, 20 trucks, you don't have to go after Coca-Cola. You don't have to go after Samsung. You can go after your local mid-sized shippers that are nearby you. Those are the targets that you want to go through. And what I love about those warehouses is oftentimes the warehouse manager is the decision maker. They are always going to be on the floor too. So during my time when I was going to these warehouses, I actually found this out by mistake. I was trying to find the parking lot. I was following an employee car, and I went to the back where the employee parked. And then I parked where all the trucks were checking in. And I just walked through one of the open dock doors. And the first person I talked to there, who was like, oh, who are you? And I was like, oh, I'm just here to talk to the transportation manager. And they're like, oh, that's me. And so a lot of times the decision maker is already there near the dock doors, whether it's the warehouse manager, the logistics manager, the transportation manager, etc. And number 2, what I really love is a lot of times these warehouses, they're so accessible. If you go from the back, I always like to make this joke. What are they going to do? Arrest me? Like, they're not going to arrest you. They're just going to, like, if they don't want you there, they'll just say, hey, they'll ask you like, hey, sorry, like you can't be here in the back. But actually majority of the times they never push me out. They've always let me in. In fact, if you don't know who the warehouse manager is, one of my favorite tricks is find an employee who's on a smoke break or who's on a lunch break, go say hi. And I've had so many times where they're like, oh, who are you? I'm like, are you here to visit somebody or have a meeting with someone? I'm like, yeah, no, I'm here to see, I forgot their name, but they're in charge of the trucks and I'm here to talk to them about the transportation. And they're like, oh, you're talking about Thomas. And like, yeah, Thomas. And like, okay, yeah, let me go and walk you to his office. And they literally walk me into the warehouse. They give me a VIP tour of the whole place. And then they walk me straight to the decision maker. So this is just one of the simple ways that you're able to get in through the front door. And again, it's not through the front, it's through the back. And a lot of you guys have probably seen this already. And if you haven't seen this already, maybe you've even done it yourself. But again, be confident, know that you belong, and just ask. It doesn't hurt to try. So now you've finally gotten in to the warehouse. Now this is the part on how do I even talk to direct shippers, right? So let's go ahead and dive into this. Now, when you're talking with direct shippers, a lot of times we get really excited and we will think, oh my God, like I'm finally getting the opportunity to be able to talk to someone. I want to be able to land them right away. I want to tell them this is what I want from them. Hey, these are my lanes. Can you do it for this price? Or do you have any loads I can do for you? We want to not overwhelm them with what we want. We don't want to overwhelm them with all these questions that they're not even ready for. We want to make sure that we walk in and establish a relationship. We're here at the end of the day to help them, and we're here at the end of the day to start a relationship, not to close a deal. Again, it's unlikely that you're going to ever close a deal on the first try. Anyone who tells you otherwise is either not experienced enough in sales or just plain lying to you. It takes a lot more times than just the first try. But if you have that first impression really, really well, it helps you a lot more in landing that person eventually. So these are just a couple of pro points that I always like to go over. Again, you're here to start a relationship, not close a deal. You want to listen more than you actually talk. It really means a lot. Justin, he's the co-founder here. I think he just joined our call a little earlier, but he's really good at this. He takes notes and he writes them down as he's talking to the person. He has his little notepad and he's like nodding his head and he'll take down notes. And people actually really like that. It shows that you're engaged, it shows that you care, and it shows to them that you're committed, right? And these are the key things. A lot of times people don't know this. They'll jump into questions of saying like, hey, I'm a trucking company down the road. I want to work with you. Do you have any loads that you can do, like that we can do together? You don't want to start with asking them how they can help you. We don't want to go in there asking them to help us. We want to go in there to learn about them and to see what they are having issues with, and then present how we are able to help them with the issues they're having. So, point number 3, ask to find out about their pain points. Like back to the example that I was going to earlier, right? Let's say this person, they do ice cream. Maybe they're an ice cream manufacturer. And you say, hey, like I see that you've been hauling a lot of ice cream. I just want to let you know, I'm actually a carrier. I'm only 20 minutes away from you. I wanted to just learn a little bit more about the customers that I want to work with. Are you guys having any trouble with the carriers or the transportation partners that you're working with at the moment? You know? And then maybe they'll say like, oh yeah, man, like they always come with like they always come late, or maybe like I've had a couple times where the ice cream, the temperature wasn't right, etc., etc. And then you really want to make them relive their pain point, because the better you make them relive it, the better you understand what they're going through, and the better that they're going to feel that issue that they're having. When people relive an issue, they have more urgency to not want to have that issue anymore, right? So and then when you want people to change, so if you want someone to change and consider changing to work with you, they're not going to change if they don't feel urgency. They're going to be like, oh, things are fine, it's not that bad. It's not that bad, so I don't feel any need to change. But if you make them relive the pain point enough, like, oh yeah, that was really bad, that did cost me a lot of money, oh, that was a really big headache, then they're going to consider like, yeah, you know what, maybe I don't want to keep doing that anymore. Okay, they're going to be open to other solutions, and you want to be that solution, right? So find out too why they don't want to change. Why don't people want to change to be happier? Again, maybe they're like, oh, I've just been too busy, I haven't had the time to look for other transportation partners. I know that there are some better ones out there, but I just can't find carriers. And again, believe it or not, shippers, as hard as they are to find, carriers are even harder to find, because a lot of times trucking companies don't even have a website. I can't find you on Google, etc. But here's the part: we want to make them explain the experience of them reliving the pain, and then we want to offer, hey, you know what, you said that you had a lot of issues with the temperature of those trailers for the reefers. I want to let you know that I actually have equipment that's less than 5 years old, so that's never going to be a problem. If you're ever interested and you see like an issue with a carrier, I don't know, I'm more than happy to try to Tesla with you. I don't want to force anything. But again, I'm just 20 minutes down the road, here to help at the end of the day. Would love the opportunity. So this is just an exercise. Now you met them, right? How do you engage? Again, a lot of times people are really excited. They want to just get to the load, but we're going to use these kind of pro points to dive into how we're going to actually go about and engaging them. How do we talk to them, right? So let's go from here. Carrier. Hey, so just question out of curiosity, who are you currently using to move your loads? And the shipper says, TQL. So then here you want to use your tone, and you want to make sure that you make them inflict and relive their pain. Like, oh, TQL. Have you ever had carriers that don't show up and, you don't know until the appointment time? because a lot of us probably know that TQL is not really the most reliable transportation partner to work with. And a lot of times shippers have had themselves cancel, right? So you want to make sure you inflict and relive their pain. So the shippers can be like, oh, like, yeah, no, that's true. I've had a lot of carriers cancel on me last second. I don't even know until then. And then this is the reliving the pain part, right? You're going to be most of the time, notice you're asking questions. You're not asking them to take from them. You're just asking them questions to make them relive their pain. So again, oh, okay, so man, that sucks. Okay, what do you do when that happens, when they don't show up? Like, how do you find your next carrier? And then also if they say no, like, oh, okay, so are you like 100% satisfied with working with brokers or like with carriers directly? Like, why not work with carriers directly if you could? You want them to give you the answer so that way it helps you with better understanding their problem. Because again, what if they want to work with the carriers directly? Like you ask them, why don't you? And said, oh, it's just honestly, brokers are just so much easier to find, so much easier to talk to brokers. Carriers, like, I want to work with you guys, but you're the first person to come to my warehouse and talk to me. Like, I don't know anyone else. Like, I don't know who to go to. So then you've learned what their barrier is and you've learned how to help them. Now, this is the other part. It's a lot of times some people feel like they're great people persons. Some people feel like it's really difficult to talk. This has been a huge issue for me. Objections. I'm naturally such a people pleaser. Oh. I'm naturally such a people pleaser that when people object, it's hard for me to combat their objections. And sometimes we get really discouraged and like, oh, okay, like they don't want to work with me after all. We can overcome that. We can say some things that are going to help us with actually getting them to want to work with us. So a lot of times, these are the hesitations like, oh, you know what? You brought up good points, but I need to think it over. We're not really accepting new carriers right now. Like, like, hey, look, you'll need to give me some more quotes, whatever it might be. These are the common rejections or objections that you're going to get. And I don't want you to be discouraged. This is going to happen. People are naturally like this because people naturally don't like to change. But this is what you can say and how you can handle it so you can get people to want to change, right? So again, we're going to flip the question and re-engage the conversation. Hey, totally get it. I understand. Like, you need to think it over. At the end of the day, you want to do what's best for your business. But I do remember, like, you pointed out to me, like, you said you weren't 100% satisfied with TQL and that you really hated how, they kept missing on their appointments. So I just wanted to kind of understand, like, let's suppose we're able to get you equipment that doesn't melt your ice cream all the time, or that you have a partner who's going to be there on time and not cancel on you last second. Like, what is that going to mean for you in your business? So again, we're asking questions. We don't want to say things that are yes or no. We want to ask them questions that are going to make them figure out, like, dang, what am I going to do? I don't know the answer. Crap. You want to make them have that mindset of like, man, what is going to happen if I keep getting TQL to keep canceling on me? Or what's going to keep happening? Like, my boss is going to be hella mad at me if my ice cream keeps melting, whatever that is. So you're going to challenge them and make them try to answer the question. And then they're going to realize, I don't have the answer. I don't know what I'm going to do. And that's when you're able to say, like, look, I understand that you need to change, but here's what I would propose. Again, I'm just 20 minutes down the road. So if someone cancels on you last second, keep using TQL. Go ahead. But if someone cancels on you last second, here, give me a call. Let me know. I'm here down the road to give you help out. Again, my trailers are less than 5 years old, and so the equipment's top notch. I don't think we're going to melt your ice cream, sir. You want to be able to have that conversation. And again, I'll give you guys these PowerPoint slides so that way you can like kind of look over them. We'll also be providing you with the scripts. We're giving you the business card template, the one-pager template, and I've also have a lot of these common objection and how to respond to them kind of scripts. So in case this one example slide wasn't enough for you, don't worry, we'll give you some more to go over and practice on yourself. But now that we finally talked to someone, let's say that, hey, I have Juan and Moises in the room with me. So I'm just looking at them like, Juan, like, it was great talking to you. I really love talking to your dad. Let's do this. Let's talk next week. I'm really busy this time. let's go over maybe running a test load, right? And so we're thinking, yes, amazing, done. Like, I finally landed my direct shipper. This is the thing. What this means is you've done a great job of a first impression. You've done a great job in connecting them. They're now a lead. This is the post warehouse process, and this is going to be a really important part on how to close your direct shipper. So what does it take in order to truly close a direct shipper? Again, it's not rocket science, it's not magic, but it's really just consistency and the long game. You know, when I talked about like the 3 common mistakes, the first common mistake was, hey, like you might not be talking to enough people. But then the second one that I mentioned was you're giving up too early. A lot of times I have so many customers, they say like, hey, I got really excited. I was talking to this direct shipper. We had a great conversation. You know, Juan and Moises, man, like we talked to that direct shipper. They said that we could get on a call the second week. We called them. They didn't pick up. We emailed them. They didn't respond back. I think we just got ghosted. And so, you know, I'm just going to move on. But no, this is the part where it's so crucial. You have to keep nurturing your leads. Don't forget about them. And you have to keep going at them because they might just be busy. And again, maybe they are looking to change, but they're just too busy to change at the moment. Or maybe they just are not ready for it this month, but maybe in 2 months they will be ready, right? So we want to make sure that we go over those pain points, that we don't forget about them, and that we keep consistently reaching out to them. So what does it take to close a direct shipper, right? And again, it's the ability to convince them to change and to not forget about them. I like to use this little analogy of like, look, it's like you're fishing and you're trying to fish for that shipper. Again, you need to be able to cast a wide enough net to talk to enough people to land someone. If you think you're only going to talk to 10 people and land one person, it's kind of unlikely, right? You might have to talk to 50 or 100 people. And that sounds intimidating, but I'm going to, again, talk to you about this is actually something realistic that you can do. 50 to 100 people is actually something you can do. And then with each of those people, talking to them one time might not be enough. You have to actually talk to them maybe 7 to 12 times. But you're like, Ivy, holy crap. You're talking about 50 to 100 people that I have to talk to, and I have to do 7 to 12 touches with each of them. That is really unrealistic for me. I don't have time in the day. I'm running a trucking company. That seems really impossible for me. And again, I'm going to go over kind of like actually how this is possible. I'm going to show you what you can do to do it. And this is the way that at the end of the day, we have to remember, if we want to get that 10% increase in profit or 20%, whatever it is, if we want to stop being dependent on load boards, on brokers, at the end of the day, we all know we need to get a direct shipper. So I'm going to show you how we're going to do that and how we can make it realistic for you. So again, what it takes. 1, we're going to need to have the credibility and an online presence. 2, talking to enough people. 3, not giving up too early. 4, not forgetting. And 5, having that realistic process that allows you to do all the above without eating up all of your time, right? So this is something that we've worked with a lot of our customers who have not enough time in the day. And I kind of want to show you and start off with a success story really quickly. Before I dive into that, I want to show you this really quick. There are a number of channels that you need to use in order to land a direct shipper. Sometimes it's a mixture of cold calls, knocking on doors, email marketing. For example, after you talk to a shipper from a warehouse visit, what you're going to do is, hey, give them a call in 1 week. And then maybe you'll send them an email too. There's different mixtures of what you're going to do, right? After that shipper meets you in person and you hand them their business card, the first thing they might do is take a look at your website. They're going to be like, hey, I really liked Juan and Moises, but I want to see if they're actually legit. I want to see if they're actually credible people that I want to work with, right? So these are different channels on how shippers might end up wanting to work with you and how you might reach back out to them. So really quickly, I really love showing this example. Here on our Slack for Truckpedia, we have a customer success stories. And this is just a customer that we had with one of Brenda's customers. And I really love it, where it says, hey, Brian doesn't even know what to do with all the emails he has to answer now, LOL. We helped him with the email marketing campaign, reaching out to direct shippers. And he was able to get emails like this, where it says, hey, good Sunday. Thanks for reaching out and sharing your company with me. Your business model is impressive. And I really enjoy reviewing your website. So again, having the website, people check those things out. People are going to check if you're credible. If you work with any, like, if you probably hear about us, Truckpedia, after this, you're going to be like, who is Truckpedia? Let me go and check them out to see if they're even legit. Anyone you go to now these days, they're going to try and see if you have a website. They're either going to be like, wow, this website looks fantastic. They look believable. They look credible. Okay, I trust them a little more. Or they're going to see it and be like, wow, this looks like it was made in the 2000s. I don't know if they're like, I'm not very impressed. So you want to make sure you have, from the start, just solidifying your impression. You might have had a great impression meeting them in person. You want to just keep building that trust. As you can see here, it says that we're neighbors, and here we do X, Y, and Z. I've passed on our information to my COO and also to my daughter, who's now running our family business. So what I want to say is this is just one of the tools that we utilize to be able to help some of our customers with landing direct shippers. And there's so much more, but let me go back down to this slide. We'll take you through it. I want to make sure I leave some time for you guys to have questions in the end. But what I'm going to do now is just show a couple things on how Truckpedia helps with the outbound marketing and inbound marketing. But again, at the end of the day, everyone, to land the direct shippers, what are the brokers doing and what is everyone else doing? Again, it's not rocket science, not magic. You're doing inbound marketing. People find you through your website, people find you through advertisements or something else, or outbound marketing. And these are some of the most accessible ones. Like, you could go ahead and call people. You can go to conferences where other shippers are going to be. Go and knock on doors. Go and email them. Go ask for referrals. These are all the things that you're going to have to do. And if you don't know how to do it, we have these seminars. We're going to be teaching you guys how. But the most important thing is you might not have the time to do it. And that's when it's going to be really important to have the tools that are going to make you successful. Because, for example, 50 to 100 shippers to talk about, 7 to 10 times to talk to each, it's going to be overwhelming. But what we're going to do here is I'm going to show you how we're able to do that. So, for example, one of my favorite things I love working with personally, I love helping my customers with building a website. So this was a website that our customer, they are doing drayage out of Long Beach and Ontario, California. And we were able to build this for them in less than 2 hours. So again, this is just one of the resources that we're able to give you guys. Having a website that presents, it matters. Kind of like what I just showed from that email test, that little email from Ivan. That person was able to build that trust and credibility from that website. Number 2, this is the email marketing campaigns. This is going to be so huge. And I'm going to just kind of show this to you live. We're just going to go into here. You can either email them in person. You can go after you talk to somebody from a warehouse visit, and you can go ahead and you can go and email them afterwards. But if you're going to be talking to a lot of people, if you don't have time to go do warehouse visits, this is something that you can do by yourself. I'm actually going to just go into show you a different one here. Let's go to, this is one of the customers that I was working with. And I just want to kind of show you kind of the results of what he was able to see. And so here we are. We're just going to go into the marketing campaigns right here. And as you can see, they have their campaign 1 and their campaign 2. We're just going to go into this one. Each of those campaigns might be a different targeted customer. So what we're going to do here is all those people he met at warehouses, or whether it was at a conference, or whether it's just business cards on his Rolodex that's sitting on his desk, he just entered them all in here. You can put as many people here as you want. It could be 100, it could be 1,000, whatever you want. And then, kind of like I was talking about, you might visit someone at a warehouse, but you're not going to have the time to keep remembering to talk to them 7 to 12 times afterwards. You don't even have time to potentially, like, making time to go visit people at a warehouse might seem like a lot for you. Let's automate the manual parts so that way you don't have to worry about following up. Because that's the biggest part that people make the mistake on. 1, either they're not talking to enough people. 2, they give it too early. Or 3, you're forgetting. So this is like the most crucial mistake, because you invested all that time and energy to go talk to people only to lose them because you're forgetting about them now. So that's why this is so important. And we actually have seen a lot of success with some of our customers where here, for example, email 1, email 2, email 3, And all you're doing here is literally you're saying, hey, let's wait for 4 days and then send out email 2. Or here, let's wait for another 7 days and let's send out email 7. So basically imagine all those people you visit from your warehouse visit, or whether it was from a phone call, etc. You put them in here. They get these emails scheduled out from whether it's Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And now you're able to see who is like the analytics of it. We can see that email 2 is doing the best right now, or sorry, email 1 at 44% open rate. And then I can also see who is opening my emails, right? So if we take a look here, I can see that Shelby opened this on April 12th. I'm sorry if this is kind of small to see. Let me make it a little larger. Shelby opened this at April 12th at 15:06. And this is the thing I want to show about Shelby too. So Shelby, I saw this one time. I talked to my customer, like, you need to call her right away. And he was like, why? And you can see on April 2nd at 10:12 a.m., she opened it once. On April 2nd, 10:41, so 30 minutes later, she opened it again. And then 1 hour later, Shelby opened it again at 11:46, 3 times in one day. So I was literally telling my customer, Jose, I was like, Jose, this is a hot lead. Go call them now. And so Jose is actually talking with Shelby, and they're getting in process of working together. And so this is what I mean by, like, look, there are ways where you are going to need to, for example, it's not rocket science. We know that this is what we need to do to go and get out to talk to direct shippers. We can't rely on DAT, truck stop, and freight brokers. But then it's kind of like it feels overwhelming when we don't have the tools to be able to do this, or if we don't have the knowledge to know, how do I go to the right conferences? If I go knock on doors, how do I make sure I don't get rejected by the gatekeeper? How do I make sure I'm not just wasting my time? And most importantly, like, how do I make sure that I set myself up for success? So if I go talk to people in person, if I do call, that I'm not just wasting my time on energy. So this is one of the really cool tools I wanted to show you guys. This email marketing has been really successful. And again, kind of like what I showed you there, even this person, Ivan, he's been having a hard time keeping with all the emails he has to answer now. I'm not saying that's a result that everyone gets, but it's one of the examples. Let me go back to here. I want to just tie things up a little bit. We'll be finishing this up soon, and we'll be able to talk about more questions for you guys at the end. So again, this is kind of one of the things. We also do have a CRM. I'll show you this really quickly. So in case you do have any live deals that you don't want to forget about, this is our CRM, which is just a customer relationship management tool. So basically that way you don't forget anything, right? So let's say, hey, we have shipper A. This isn't interested. You can customize these pipelines. You can rename this to, like, instead of approach, like talk to, whatever you want. And I just want to show you an example. So I have a goldfish memory, and I might have talked to, somebody like back in January, but I'm like, what did I talk to them about? What were their pain points? What are the things that were really important to that person? But now you're able to see your activity from February 10th all the way until the present day to see exactly the activity that's happened. Oh, okay, on February 11th, I spoke to Samantha. We're waiting to hear back on the RFQ, etc. So this is just another tool to set you up for success so that you can avoid those common mistakes of forgetting and not following up. But back to this really quick. Again, I just want to finish things up with, look, at the end of the day, there's that decision of, I think all of us came here because they're interested to look for direct freight because we know what this could mean for our business, for your guys' business. And just from like this simple example, like, you can see the direct impact you could have. It's just a matter of like, man, I got to make the change and I got to make the effort to invest a little bit of time to go out there and talk to direct shippers to see what tools I can use to help me out with this, right? And so I just want to kind of end this with like those two questions of, what would it mean if you could get that 10% more? Or what would it mean if you just stayed the same? So definitely, again, we're here to help. Super excited to be able to share these basic resources for you guys. These are some of the resources that we can give you, like whether it's the one pager that's kind of like a little resume. In this resume sort of thing, we also really want you guys to share your direct rates and your lanes. This is going to be like something super powerful for you guys. Because at the end of the day, the shippers, they care about your service, they care about the quality of the service, but at the end of the day, they want to cut straight to the chase. How much is this going to cost me? So if you have this one pager that when you visit them at a warehouse and you're able to show them like, hey, look, these are my core services. I do reefer, I do XYZ from these lanes to these lanes, and this is the cost of these lanes. Are you down? Are you interested? That's going to be a much more direct conversation and going to help you get that connection right away much better. And if they see that it's competitive to what they have immediately, they're going to be like, oh, you know what? That's going to make it so much faster for them to want to make a decision on giving you a trial test load to try something out.
Actually,
Okay.
Justin's here. He just wanted to, just say hi to everybody and kind of chime
Hey
in.
guys, yeah, hey guys. Thank you for joining the seminar. Thank you, Ivy, for sharing. I just wanted to add to the last part. For those of you who I haven't met yet, I helped my dad scale the trucking company from 3 to 50 trucks in a little less than 3 years by working with shippers directly. What Ivy shared is absolutely amazing content. And in the meantime, feel free to ask any question in the chat. So when I first went to knock on doors, I got rejected for about at least 20 times before someone was willing to talk to me because I just didn't know how to talk to people. And then what I realized was if you're more specific, the more specific you are, the more direct you are, the more likely people are willing to talk to you. On the rate part, here just it's a sample rate, it's not a real rate, so don't have to look at that number, right? If you walk into a warehouse and you get the back of a door, the back of a warehouse door, when you check in, where driver check in, if you hand them your company resume and also, hey, just some sample rate that we charge at, right? From Los Angeles to Dallas, Houston. If we're doing LTL, 137. If we're doing full truckload, if we're currently getting paid 3,500 on the low board, mark up by 10%, right? Say, hey, 3,800 from Los Angeles, Dallas for full truckload driving. When they see that, if they're currently paying 4,200 or more than that, if they're paying more than that, immediately get their attention. They're not going to toss that paper away, right? Because we're adding value to them right away. So walking into that warehouse, especially are the ones you have worked with in the past, they run this lane. Go in with your rate, because end of the day, people care about relationship. They do. People care about relationship. People care about what type of equipment you have, but also what they care about the most is the rate, right? Us carriers, if we're working with brokers, if we're getting loads on load board, you mark up by 10% because on average, brokers' profit margin is in the 15 to 20% margin range. You mark up by 10%, you're still one of the lowest carriers out there. So giving that rate will immediately capture their attention. Ooh, tell me more. I run that lane exactly, right? So that's a great way to go when you're going to talk to people on that part. So I'm not sure if you have more to share, but I just wanted to chime in on that part.
No, that was perfect. That was a perfect segue. We're just so you guys know, this QR code, if you want all these resources that we talked about, like the free templates for your one pager, your business card, if you're just interested to learn more, this is the QR code to scan. If for some reason you're having issues with getting this, feel free to just message into the chat. There should be a little chat button, right? I'm not on the, it's usually at the corner of your screen. There's a little chat box. So yeah, without further ado, that is really it that we have on the presentation time. Want to leave the rest of the time for you guys and any questions that you guys might have. So whether it pertains to warehouse visits or whether it pertains to just in general how to land direct shippers or anything you guys have questions on, let me know. This is now your guys' time for questions. Do you have any questions, Juan?
Would it be different if you specialize in reefer loads when you type in the search engine in Google? What would I type in, like reefer refrigerated loads near me or refrigerated warehouses near me?
Yeah, so the question, if I heard it correctly, like how would I type, he does reefer, and so he's looking for reefer loads.
How would I search for
what would I search for in Google to be able to find that, right? Yeah. And so kind of going back a little bit to that part of the PowerPoint here, let me go and share my screen. 1 second, I have to find the tab where I was, here it is. Let me go ahead and share my screen again really quickly. Ba-ba-dum. So we're going back to here. So back to kind of step number 1, right? Like, how do we even start? We got to do this part, which is building our ideal shipper profile. Because the better we understand who the customer that we're trying to go after, the easier it is to find that niche of who we're going to go Google. Because, for example, let's say you do reefer, maybe you specialize in, do you just, what type of a commodity do you haul? Do you do any type of frozen, or like what type of commodity?
Majority, from what I know, it's frozen, and then sometimes whatever he gets his hands on. What type of loads do you guys usually do?
Like, is it meat? Frozen meats? Frozen meat?
Frozen, froze, general fresh,
Gotcha. Okay.
lifestyle.
Okay. Because what happens is, what I would do here. So, for example, like if I'm trying to Google, and I'm just using Google as a resource, or there's also ThomasNet, which I'll show you guys here too. You want to be able to find a supplier here, right? And so Google is basic. So ThomasNet, let me connect this back really quick. Sorry. ThomasNet is kind of like Google, but for shippers. This is actually a great resource for you guys. I'll show you here. So I'm going to use Corrugate just because this is an easy example to go off of. So corrugated box suppliers here. Sorry. We have in-person people here as well, so I'm just trying to make that set up. But here you can see these are all the different suppliers who do corrugate, and you are able to find their location, the number of employees, everything about them, and you can even type in your zip code and get them within 50 miles of yourself. And this is a great way to start finding manufacturers and shippers that are nearby you. And so either you can do Google like, hey, corrugate manufacturers near me, and you can find them here on Google Maps and look for them there. Or you can use thomasnet.com. But the reason why I'm saying, hey, we have to be super specific, because if you go on Google and you just do, for example, if you just did reefer loads near me,
Or reefer shippers.
or reefer shippers near me, like it's gonna be very difficult. We're not helping ourselves.
Yeah.
We're not gonna be able to find any, like, we might find something, but it's gonna be way better if you are targeted like, hey, like, again, I'm using this ice cream manufacturers near me.
Yeah. So
Right.
what she's getting at is there's no such thing as a direct shipper. There's warehouses, there's commodity customers, right? So you want to think of this as, going after a specific commodity, because that'll get you to the proper warehouse when you especially when you're Googling like Ivy does. And Ivy's got really good at this. And Ivy, I'd love you explain the story, because we actually sent Ivy out and she would go after direct clients, because we would bring them on to our software, and it wasn't that easy. It took a lot of learning before she got good. It's kind of like talking to somebody for a first time. It almost sounds like you got a box of marbles in your mouth. So the same thing is true when you're going after clients. And Ivy, explain a little bit about your first couple of days going out to direct clients.
I wish I actually I love that you brought up that point. I was so excited to talk about all the pro tips. I did want to mention that when you're first starting out talking to shippers, it's like starting out any job. If it's something new for you, or if like you're going on your date for the first time or interview for the first time, it's going to be a lot of practice before you start feeling comfortable. Here, and myself and Justin, we went out to talk to shippers. And, I didn't really know my elevator pitch to start out. I didn't know how to, I just kind of rambled. I'm a rambler. I just kind of rambled into a lot of different things. I just, at the end of the day, I just tried to build a relationship and make it so that we liked each other, in the sense of we had good respect for each other and what we were doing. So even in the beginning, if you're feeling like you don't know exactly what to say, just try to be a good person, try to make a good friend. And the more that you practice, the better you are going to get at knowing what questions to ask. For me and Justin, we just asked a bunch of different questions all the time. And then eventually we started figuring out, oh, this is a question that really sticks, that a lot of people respond to really well. Oh, this is a strength that I have that a lot of people really like. Oh, this is a pain point that everyone keeps repeating.
We have a question here. I'm going to read this out. I'm a power only company. I deal mainly with dredge. How do I obtain direct shippers and not brokers? So great question on this one. Even before we go into this one, Feroz, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, does anyone know, how do you know what commodity to go after? Does anyone know what commodity to go after? And if you say, hey, how do I even find out what commodity to go after? The best way would be looking at your previous rate confirmations you work with brokers prior, right? And try to find a pattern. What commodity are we hauling the most based on that? Because you're already a pro at handling those commodities. So that becomes your number one thing. And second part is, for dredge, it is a little challenging for dredge part. Where are you located, Feroz? Feroz, where are you located? And the reason why I ask that is there are often a lot of dredge associations nearby, wherever you're.
Excuse me. I'm from Chicago area.
Okay, you're from Chicago. There's actually so when you deliver to, so a couple places to do this. The best way is when you're driving to your. How many trucks are you running right now?
I have one, but I have two trucks, but it's just me so far.
Okay, all right. So this is going to be amazing for you. If I were you, what I would do is drive around wherever you park your truck. Wherever you park your truck, drive around within 5 miles of that radius. What you're going to see is, in that case, the best way would be you'll be able to see where there are ocean containers in the yard, and that will be where you go talk to, right? If you see ocean container in the yard, use a neighborship card, neighbor card. Drop a neighbor card. Hey, I'm your neighbor down the street from you, and I see you have a lot of ocean containers. Want to work with you? Here's my rate, right? This is my company. Here's a rate that I charge, within this area. How, if I want to work with you guys, how does that process look like? So that would be the best way to do for you in your case, because you don't have a lot of trucks. You're probably serving local shippers anyway. So right off where you're at, see ocean containers, go walk in, introduce yourself, and that's probably the best way. Now, the second one, what's a good way to do about this is, if you're very niche, very specific, in this case, Google Map, similar idea. Rather than driving around, what you're going to do is you're going to go on Google Image and find warehouse nearby and see which one have loading docks. And if you can zoom in, a lot of time the image, you can see they have ocean containers there, right? That's how you do your map out. You map out who they are, potentially the person in charge. Go on LinkedIn, find out who the logistics manager is, who the transportation manager is. If you cannot find them, just walk in to introduce yourself. If you can, great, even better. But if not, you're just going to drive around or using Google Map to map them out, because I'm sure every single one of you have tried to look for before. When we tried to look for roadside service people, same thing, right? Roadside service, trying to find parking spot for drivers when they say they cannot find any parking spot. We're going to Google Image trying to find out, hey, I think this is a safe spot where you can stay at. So similar idea.
Here's the problem though. Containers a little bit different. I thought about, we can't treat containers as if they're dry vans or reefers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because number one, you have to be a shipper. I can't just go in the customer and say, hey, what do you need? Well, I need containers. Well, in this situation, I think a broker or a shipper has to be involved, because I'm just a power only. So I thought about it. I can't just go in there and say, well, I can bring you 10 containers. Well, I don't have that power to do that, because number one, I can't order containers. It would have to be either the shipper or it'd have to be the broker. I'm trying to find a way to bypass it. You know what I mean?
So here's this part. Brokers are not in charge of. So when it comes to ocean container, let's say someone orders a container. Are you talking about intermodal containers, or are you talking about dredge container where you pick up from the port?
Intermodal containers.
Intermodal containers, got it. If intermodal container is the case, you probably have to set up account with. I'm not too familiar with the Chicago area. Who owns that area? Set up your account, right? Do a homework. Set up your account, and then figure out where you get, where you get a chassis from to pick up from. That's a little more specific. And for that one, there's a if you don't know where to get those resources, there's a. Have you heard of association called I think it's called IANA, the
Yes,
Intermodal
yes,
Association.
yes.
Okay, so if I were you, I would. If you cannot find resources online, I would reach out to those people and ask them, hey, reach out to people who do that. Ask them, how do I get set up with the account to access those people, right? That's the first thing I would do. And secondly is if you've been in business for a long time, the other part would do is normally freight brokers have contract with you within 1 year or 2 year. You cannot reach out to their existing customers. What I would do is dig out older rate confirmation from the past that you haven't, you're not, so you're not breaching a contract with brokers. Reach out to the people because they have containers they've hauled in the past. Reach out to those people. You'd be surprised a lot of times when you ask stranger politely, hey, I'm not trying to get your business. I just want to understand the whole process from a shipper side. How does the whole flow work, right? The containers, who's in charge of ordering them? Are brokers arranging that for you? Freight forwarders? And at what point do you pass on to trucking companies? If I would do those things to understand the whole flow and then start taking proper steps.
Okay. I think if I can just deal directly with the shipper, but a lot of times I get those. I'll give an example. I called one of them and they said, do you have 10 trucks? I said, no, I don't. They said, well, call us back when you have 10 trucks. So right away they told them, yeah, minimum.
That's that's actually a great one because you're gonna get to 10 trucks one day. So make sure you have that person's number, and I'm confident you're gonna grow to 10 trucks. And once you get to 10 trucks, you call them, hey, April 13th, April 13th, a year ago, I spoke to you and you told me to call you back after I get 10 trucks. Now I'm at 10 trucks. Can we talk now? Right. So you actually secure yourself a lead. You nurture the lead that you have a good contact. You're just waiting to meet their criteria. And
Right.
perfectly right now is you can even bring your friends together. If you have friends who are doing intermodal stuff with you, come together. Come together and say, hey, I'm gonna go after shippers. This is gonna how it looks like. And I'm gonna leverage the fleet. Do you have 10 trucks? Yes, I do. Right. So now you do have 10 trucks because you're working with your friends together to serve as a customer. So I've seen a lot of that happen, right? But and then as you secure those customers, then you can bring out owner operators to run under your authority, so they can keep on getting more and more customers that way.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I might have to switch it up and do a little bit of drive-ins. I do have one shipper directly, Marshmallow Company, and
Nice.
they pretty much he gets all the bookings, and I just grab the containers, get it loaded, and send them back to the rail. Wish I could find a few more like him.
I love that story. Thank you for sharing that part.
Mhm.
So this customer, how long have you been working with this customer?
I've been a trucker for a company, and they loved me. And I was just a driver, and I was like, they said, you're the most honest guy. Why don't you open up your own, and we'll just start, connecting you. I'm like, that's a good idea. Again, I had to do my homework. Nobody wanted to tell me how to register with the UIIA, where to get the insurance from. It's like I keep hitting a roadblock,
Yeah.
The guy that promised to help me didn't really want to anymore all of a sudden. Instead of doing it 1 month, it actually took me 3 months. But I figured
You
it
know,
out in 3 months. I opened,
It's good.
got it, went back, told them,
exactly.
finally
There
opened it,
there you go. Truckers are so genuine. People, you're a perfect example of why everybody on this call should reach out to shippers. Shippers are actually will show appreciation for you. They didn't help you, but because the words they encourage you, now you start your company. And then you have another shipper telling you, literally, you have someone on your list telling you that once you get 10, come back to me, right? So
right,
you have that one lined up as well. And what you should, if I were you, what I would do is, they're not gonna do the work for us, but they're willing, take them. Hey, can I take you out for dinner? Can I take you out for lunch? When you take them out, you're gonna have them for 1 hour at least, and then that's when we start picking their brain. So, how did this get started? And if they love you that much, ask them. Hey, I'm thinking about getting more trucks, right? Truckers know truckers. You know a lot of other truckers out there. And guess what? Shippers know a lot of shippers. I got so many referrals when I was in the trucking business and they started doing medical equipment. Medical equipment shippers know medical equipment shippers. And that's their friends. If they like me that much, I start asking them, turn them into a fan of my service. And I go ask them, hey, I'm growing my fleet. Wanted to know if you have other friends who may need my service. They say, oh yeah, absolutely. I know XYZ. All right, do you mind sending an email intro? And just ask them, do you want to spot quickly intro? Hey, meet XYZ. He does this, right? And then I get that lead. In addition to that, you're doing intermodal stuff. It might just be dealing with one person and then go into the rail yard. But if you start doing dry van stuff, you land one shipper. That shipper where you pick up from, you deliver to a receiver. Ooh, you're delivering to that receiver right away. Leverage your relationship. You're already working with the receiver, but through them. Hey, I'm a trucking company hired by the shipper, right? I'm delivering to you, and you're in my area. Wanted to know, can we work together? Are you looking for truckers? So because you already have that trust built in from the previous person, and you're just leveraging that relationship. Again, you turn this person into a fan of your service again. Not everybody's going to be.
I got a question. So they also
Yeah.
do dry vans and they do reefers. So I got the container side,
Okay. Okay.
But I tried talking to somebody else in a different department, and I asked her, I go, listen, what would it take for me to do? I'm power only, but I'm going to get equipment. So what would you like me to get? How can I work with you? I noticed you guys got this guy. He's in-house and he's doing a lot of the back and forth shuttling with the marshmallows. I'm looking for something like that. What can I help you? You guys know I'm from the area. What can I do? And she told me pretty much we got everything covered. I said, what about dry vans? I can buy me a couple dry vans. She's like, well, here's the problem. Our company wants us to deal with C.H. Robinson, and they go out there and basically, when you go with C.H. Robinson, you know what that means. They're going to drop the price. There's going to be competition.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
How do I put my foot in the door and try to explain to her, like, well, let's say you do get let's say they do it and they find somebody for like $400. I don't know how to proceed on the next step with her to win her business. She knows everything, but
how long have you known her? How have you known her? Quite a while. Or
10 years.
Just
10 years.
Are you guys friends or?
Yeah. I mean, it's twice. You know how you said you took them out to dinner? I took it one step higher. I actually did a buffet for them, for the whole crew. It was about 40 people. So I went and got Mediterranean food for them. They loved it. 7 months down the line, I did it again for them. They loved it. So the best way to get to a person's heart, I guess, is through food,
Exactly. You got it. You're doing the right thing. I would say keep on nurturing them, but at the same time, now become a numbers game. Don't just focus on them now. Let's try to find 10 lookalikes, right? 10, 50 lookalikes, and same approach. Everything you did, same approach to approach 10 more, 50 more. And this one, a
lot of companies around them. I mean, there's pinball machines companies. I noticed there's a lot of Caterpillar.
They might too big for you at the moment. The reason where without understanding the whole full context of it, they love you, they like you, they're gonna work with you. It is not now, it's when. Right? Once you get to scales that, hey, I got the 20 trucks right now. Why do they work with CH? Because CH can probably handle everything. They don't have to worry about anything. When you get to a certain point, they will start working with you. So keep on nurturing that relationship. If you treat them out once a year, maybe on a smaller scale, right? Office donuts, something smaller, pizza or something. Keep building that, nurturing that relationship, and then you need to start scaling your business and let them see as, your business is growing. In the same time, keep on do the same thing with other customers. If I were you, what I would do is, if you're at one truck right now, try to get 3 to 4 truck. Where are you still driving at the moment yourself?
Yes. I'm doing basically everything. Accounting, paperwork. I mean, it's hectic. I've been doing this for 20 years. I want to get out of the. I just want to sit in the office and I don't want to do the driving part.
Then you need to get to at least 3 trucks. That's exactly what
that is my goal this year. I have 2. I'm going to buy 1 more. I need your help, right? That's the part where you guys come in.
Get to 3 trucks. For me at the time, I did everything you did, right? With my dad, but he was driving. But I had the flexibility to do everything myself. But then I realized that spending, even in the office when you get 3, so much paperwork. That's why we built Truckpedia TMS to automate the $5 task. Your goal is trying to automate as many of the $5 tasks as you can, so you can focus on the $500 task, which is finding more shippers, right? Not trying to sell you our system, but looking to a TMS. I built it to automate my own tasks, like billing, paperwork, data entry, invoicing, et cetera, right? Automate that part. When you automate that part, what else you're letting the customer see is technology. We had a customer of ours who came to us with about 30 trucks. The reason why he came to us because same as you mentioned, he worked on a customer shipper for almost 2 years. 2 years consistently visiting, talking to them. Finally, to go, hey, let's work together, right? And then do you have EDI? We need to connect with your EDI. And he goes, what's EDI? If you don't know what EDI is, you need to know, especially you're going to deal with shippers directly. That's how they tender their information to CH Robinson. With that number of loads, if they're using CH, they have a ton of loads, right? Like that's where you need to have technology. Let them know, oh yeah, I have it, I got it, right? If you need EDI integration, we can do it, right? How do we keep on making their life easy? With CHs, at this point, the Marshmallow company talk about rates don't matter to them as much. They don't care as much about rates as service, as a convenience of conducting business. And what you need to prove to them is, hey, I can make your life easier than see what CH is doing, right? With my own trucks, and I'm starting my own owner operators too over time. And how you're going to do that is finding some smaller shippers that may move 5 truckloads every week or 2 loads a week, and five of those, 10 of those. And then you start growing by, not because you wanted to, you're going to start growing by demand. The smaller shippers, once you become their go-to, you're always going to be their go-to. They're very unlikely to replace you unless you mess up. If you don't mess up, they're going to keep asking you, hey, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? And before you know it, you're at 5 trucks. That's literally how.
Yeah, the other big thing, Ferris, is asking for a referral. These people know other people. Trust me, just ask for it.
I did. When I was working for the company, they kind of messed up. And that's why they lost a lot of the we had a chance where we had all the Marshmallow when it came to drayage. We had it all. But like I said, I was a driver then. So they messed up. I came in kind of late. I talked to one of the main customers. I would say about 60% of their work comes from those guys. So I basically took half. I would say about 40% now of the drayage. But that's 40% of the 60. The other 40%, I asked her, I go, is there any way? She said, oh, no, I can't. They already got their people. They're happy with them.
So that's like a couple of things. One is it's the existing business, right? Just over time, people will, if they use some customers, just like how the company you work for messed up, this company may mess up again. And for them, we're not counting on them messing up, but just saying that we're always prepared to take on more business. Second part is the market. It's a market condition. Right now, the market is not a good condition. Everybody is trying to secure business, right? The market will flip. The market will flip again. Once the market flips, that's when you have more opportunity to capture more of their business. It's just going to be taking more time. What you need to do at this point, rather than focusing on this one person, is find the other 20, 50 lookalike companies and leveraging them. Hey, I'm working for the Marshmallow company right now. We're growing, this, right? Hey, this is their feedback for our company. Love what we do, and that's what we're scaling. Even in market today, we're growing, and this is the rate that we charge, right? Find those companies and start visiting them, start talking to them. Even when you're making delivery, right? When you pass by, you gotta make time. You sound like a smart guy, and you sound like you're working really hard. Just like all truckers, we all work really hard, right? Start making those visits, print out those flyers, put our rates on there. If we don't want them to toss the piece of paper we give them, we got to put very specific, very value add information to them. Literally, it's like, holy cow, he's charging 400 and I'm paying right now 600, right? Per container, I save $200. Now we're going to undercut them. But in early days, because you're one guy, you're doing it all, your cost is much lower than all the bigger guys. So you can come in at a lower rate to capture the business and make them your favorite, to a point where they care about relationship, more about rates, and you just keep on scaling that way. I actually came back I go to a lot of conferences talking to companies because everybody started with one truck. If you look at the big company, even Werner, Swift, right, all the big companies, 40, 30 years ago, they all started with one, and they just keep on growing this way. right? Nothing has changed. Technology has changed, but nothing has changed. Keep on doing what you're doing. Repeat that whole process, but find more lookalikes. I can see you.
Yeah.
I can see you getting. I can see you getting to 10 trucks and 20 trucks and 50 trucks, and it growing to a gigantic company. Just keep
Honestly,
doing what stuff you're doing.
I can't do it myself. That's why I want to,
Sure.
sign up with you guys. I'm going to need your help. So
Hire. So one is hire people, two is hire software, right? But it's going to be a mix of both technology, people, software and people to scale your business, and then you're gonna see that growth.
Yeah.
I think this is why I love the Q&A session. I think everyone else stay on the call, you're listening to this because it's relevant information. So feel free to chime in, guys. This conversation, if you guys have any more question, feel free to chime in. Has other people tried to visit warehouses before? Has anyone else tried to knock on doors, talk to people, and got rejected? Or people? The first thing I remember a story. If no one has any question, I want to share one story the first time when I got a verbal commit. What I mean by that is a shipper is like, oh my God, where have you been? I wanted to work with you. I've been looking for a trucking company, I couldn't find it. I was like, yes, this is my opportunity. First verbal commit, I was so happy. People can see it. And right after I left the parking lot, I called my mom, I called my girlfriend, I called everybody, let them know I landed a shipper. And they're gonna work with us. And then I go back, I email them, no reply. 5 days later, I email again, no reply. Second week, I call them, they ghosted me. It happens. And if anyone has run into the same situation, don't be discouraged. I ran into it. I got so discouraged. I was like, wait a minute, right? What happened? What did I do to not earn their business anymore? And I kind of gave up on them. I started working with other people until I grew about 20 trucks again. And then we reached out to them the one game. It's like, oh, I'm so sorry. We got busy with this. We didn't get back to you. So this is why the power is 7 to 10 touches. If someone give you a verbal commit, don't let that go. Enter that into your system. Just like how Ferris mentioned earlier, that one guy or guy or gal told him, once you get to 10 trucks, then we talk, right? So those are the same people. We're going to keep on nurturing them until they become a customer. It's just about a matter of when, right? It's not if they don't tell us no, it's not a no. It is that, hey, I need to nurture them over time. I need to revisit them. If they give me a verbal commit, nothing went wrong, and it goes me for 2 weeks, that's okay. I'm not going to bug them, spam them every day. I'm going to wait every week or every 2 weeks. I'll be like, hey, what's happening? What I should have done was after 2 or 3 weeks of them ghosting me, I should have just driven in person there to knock on the door, ask them again, hey, what happened, right? But then I felt like, oh, I don't want to seem desperate. If they don't want to work with me, I go with someone else. I got my own feelings hurt. But this is business. It's not about our personal feelings. It's about how can we win business. And they never said no to me. They just got busy, and and I wasn't a priority, to be on their list yet. So by nurturing them later on, we got them again. Eventually, they became a customer of ours. That's one story that I just remember.
I have an in-person question. I could save it for after it's more specific. They wanted to dive in how to more specifically map out shippers and using Google or ThomasNet. So I'll reserve that question later because that one's a very specific, it takes more time to look through and everything. But in case anyone else is also interested, I can show that too.
I mean, I would love to go to the next shipper.
Let's go. Yeah.
One of those shippers conventions. Do you know when the next one might be?
A lot. There's a ton of them. I just came back from one. So for you, there's actually one happening in Fort Lauderdale because for Dredge intermodal stuff, a lot of times freight forwarders are also your target customers, right? Freight forwarders are always looking for a quote, and they got huge volume all the time. There's actually one happening in Fort Lauderdale, I think this weekend or tomorrow, for a couple of days, right? There's all freight forwarders come together, and those people have Dredge, have intermodal needs. And you can work with brokers too. They give loads of brokers. Broker help them find carriers. So you can technically go to that one. Second one is TPM. TPM is it's entirely Dredge. It happens in March of every year in Long Beach. So it just happened. I was there. I met a lot of freight forwarders, importers, exporters, and shippers. Right. What they're doing is they're trying to learn what's going on in the market. At the same time, very few carriers are there. Very, very few carriers are there. Brokers are there trying to land business. So I'm sure there are a lot more like that. You can just type in ocean container 3PL freight forwarders, right? If you type into Google, I'm sure you can find some of them. Find the one close to you because you only got 1 and 2 trucks right now, and then you're running your whole business. You don't have a luxury to travel across the country to go to other places. So I would recommend you to go for local, your chamber of commerce, right? And those people, all the shippers have them. They have meetups, and those people might be good ones. Just start Googling, right? Keywords on what you can potentially find. Dredge, ocean container. I don't know. I don't know the keyword as well as you. You probably know more than me. So start typing into it and try
Hey,
to find out
Ferris,
what other are.
I put the TPM in the chat if you want to take a look at that, at least for next year. But
Yeah.
yeah, Google's a great resource for these conventions and these events.
And then Ferris, another one is go talk to some of the trucking companies that you know have a lot of customers and brokers. You would think that they won't share their secret with you. A lot of people actually are very willing to share. Even if you make a post on LinkedIn, I guarantee you, if you make a post on LinkedIn, ask people, I run Dredge, I run Intermodal, what conferences, what convention should I go to? You find them. And also, if you work with brokers right now, stalk their social media. Try to figure out what conference they're going to. Right? They will post it on social media because that's where all the shippers hang out. If you go on LinkedIn, if we're gonna have a seminar on how to grow a LinkedIn presence. I
Yep.
grew, I got Truckpedia founded from VCs by making posts on LinkedIn. I estimate the power of LinkedIn. If you make a post, I'm a trucking company and I want to target, this is who I'm targeting. Which conference should I go to? Make a post on that. I
I
guarantee
want
you
to
people
share
will
you guys
reply to you.
something really quick. And this was literally we have hot seats every single Wednesday. And just this past Wednesday, I was working with one of our clients, and then she's out of Simi Valley, California. She made her first LinkedIn post. She changed her LinkedIn a little bit. This was her first post. And let me just make this a little bit bigger. And this is without any like coaching or whatever. She just posted it. Hey, look, I'm a trustworthy transportation team. We specialize in dry freight, et cetera, et cetera. But I want you to see, like, this was on 3 days ago. 3 days ago. And then on that either the same day or the day right after, this person right here said, hey, let's get in touch. I'm in search of a SoCal asset-based carrier that runs teams and solos to these locations. And so that was just from one post. And so again, she got 12 people to like
Powerful
it.
stuff.
And it was so simple, right? And then we started working with her on, I want to bring this up again. This, I don't know if you guys see this, but like right now, a lot of trucking companies, we're all just doing this, just focusing on DAT, truck stop, and freight brokers. But truly, there's so many more ways to find shippers that we're not untapping. Imagine if you fired off all these channels from LinkedIn to your having your website, visiting people in person, going to conferences. Think about all the other opportunities you're missing out on and that you could potentially get, right? So that was just one example from the LinkedIn post to Justin's point. There's so many different conferences to go to. Literally, I use this a lot. I used to work at Amazon, so I always think about cardboard boxes. But literally, there's a corrugate pack expo, and I wanted to
And
statistics on
and there's
this.
Harry, I see it, but
Yeah, I
Harry,
just want.
well,
Hernan has a question as well
Yes,
in the chat. I just want to make sure that we acknowledge that.
yes. Sorry, go ahead. I just
what
want to show you
this
that
what
the last thing I want to say with these is there's so many shippers that attend. Like there's thousands of shippers who are attending, and so instead of there's either one going to your neighborhood shippers, or you can go to a conference where there's going to be thousands of them all in one place, and they're going to be decision
yeah.
makers.
And then keep in mind, the conferences that you go to, they're not that easy. You show up, you get shippers. There's often a cost to it, right? So based on your size, I would recommend you do your homework. We have seminars on teaching you how to go to conferences, to how to have a LinkedIn presence. Literally every channel that we do, we talk about those stuff. And to answer your question, Hernan, about would this also work with 26 box truck? Absolutely, absolutely, it will work with a box truck. Hernan, where are you located? Which part of a country are you located for your business? Feel free to unmute yourself or type it out. The reason why I asked that is there's a home Merced, California. Okay, so you're in Merced, California. Right now, how are you getting business? Are you working with brokers right now? So what I would recommend you to do with you is same thing. It works for any business, right? Because for you, box truck, often you have a lift gate, so you can categorize yourself as a white glove service. And I don't know if you run across the country or run local, but what I would do is figure out who you're working with right now with brokers. If you're working with brokers, and then find company lookalikes near you. Start reaching out to them directly. Same approach. Walking to the warehouse. Hey, I own a box truck, and this is a rate. I service these areas. This is the rate that I charge, and then here you go. Right. So you can totally just do that, and it absolutely will work.
I want to just, I was sharing my screen this too, but this is, I was looking with Jessica Luna, and when we found this is a small business expo. So these are for, if you guys are smaller size carriers or mid-size carriers, you don't have to go to those really large conferences with all the big shippers like Coca-Cola or, you know, whatever it might be. This is going to be a business conference with vendors who are all small business owners. And so these could be small size shippers or mid-size shippers that could be perfect for you. And they do this all across the US. So this could be something worth taking a look at. And then if you, and let's just say, I'm going to go into Los Angeles one. This is one that's coming up September 5th. And then if I put in my name and my email, they'll send me the attendee list. But this is definitely something worth looking into potentially. And it's across the US for you guys.
Hey, Ivy, just a side note, this is literally outside our office. We should go to this one.
I know.
Yeah,
Oh,
go to this one
absolutely.
and check it out.
Oh,
Yeah.
by the way, did I mention? I think it's for free. So
Yeah,
let's just it's for free, or it's like a $70 if there's 3 packages, like the free one, the middle one, and then the more premium one.
Go for the cheaper local ones, especially if you've never gone to one yet. Because
yes,
again, the first time you talk to somebody, it's going to be a challenge.
It's a warm up.
You got to warm it up. So
yeah, and another thing is, since we're on this page, I want to show you guys how to prospect if it's a good one or not a good one. Ivy, exit out of here. Click on exhibitors, exhibit, click on that, and then click on don't go into it yet. Let me just look what's down there. Yeah, let me see what's over there. Don't click on it. Let me just look at the drop down, please. Exhibitor testimonials, exhibitor store, exhibitor FAQ. Normally they would tell you who are exhibiting. If you scroll down, does it tell you who's exhibiting?
I think it says it depends on the show because there's so many.
I see. That makes sense. So normally what you can tell if it's a good show for you or not by looking at the exhibitors, who are the people exhibiting, and you can kind of get a good idea is if they're a good fit for you or not.
Oh, what was the Western Retail Conference or something that we had just a while back ago? A Retail West Conference, this one here. This happened earlier this year.
Click on exhibitor.
Yeah, exhibitors here. And then, yeah, here you go. You can start seeing more. I don't know why there's so few.
It might not be, but you guys get the idea. So when it comes to conferences, a lot of time, look at exhibitors, look at the speakers. When you look into that, you know what it is. And often, don't go to the expensive one asking for, ticket is $1,500 to enter. It's not worth it. A Manifest, I don't think it's worth you guys money to go to this one unless you have 10 plus trucks, 20 plus trucks, then you maybe can consider going there if it's if it makes sense for you. So this is just kind of like
statistics for this. Like these are like, instead of going to a trucking conference where everyone's truckers, you should be going to conferences where everyone are shippers and who are going to be decision makers for you guys. That's the idea of this.
Conference a lot of time will display that information right there.
Yeah, and also going it to network if you can. Within those conferences, sometimes they have events or free events or meet and greets. Those are great to practice and hone your skills.
Yeah, and this morning I came back from TIA. TIA conference is my first time going there. So TIA is for freight brokers. I was there in Phoenix, Arizona, Thursday, Friday, and today. This morning I just came back, and I met so many brokers there. What happened there? What happened was I was asking brokers, "Hey, what strategies are you guys using to land shippers?" And people never ask them that question. When they get asked that question, I thought they would be, not telling me what they do. Surprisingly, everybody would start sharing with me, "Oh, this is our strategy on finding shippers, right? We go to conferences like this one. We came here to learn how other people do it, right? We'll also go to RELA. We go to those conferences, and we have sales out, outside sales knocking on doors, sending emails, right? They start sharing about how they do it and then giving the tips, advice on how they make it happen. Everyone does it pretty much essentially the same way. And what that comes down to is what Ivy shared initially with the inbound and outbound marketing strategies. And we dive into each individual channels. All right. Any more questions from you guys?
The next presentation that we're going to do, you guys, for next month, it's going to be, we'll send out the seminar information to RSVP, but we're going to talk about LinkedIn, and we're going to talk about, it's so simple. And again, I kind of showed you guys that screenshot, but she literally on that same day, she got either, like, sometimes you get really lucky, but also sometimes that's how simple it can be with LinkedIn. People are looking and shippers are on LinkedIn. So we're going to teach you the right way to build your profile, so people are actually going to want to look at it, and so that people are actually going to want to work with you. So really excited to do that one for you guys in May. But definitely we're going to stick around if you guys have more questions. So feel free to message us in the chat or unmute yourself and ask away. Otherwise, what I'm going to be doing for the remainder, we have two people here at the office with us. They were interested in looking at ThomasNet a little bit more in detail and also mapping things out on Google. For dry freight, produce, and some reefer type of stuff. If you guys want to watch me go through that, by all means, I'm going to go start doing that. And if you guys have questions, go feel free to chime in. But I'm gonna start working on doing that a little bit. So I'm gonna share my screen. So yeah, okay, Moises, Juan, what type of let's say you guys do, what type of freight do you guys like to do a lot?
Like groceries for the store.
Oh, okay. So groceries from the store. Justin, do you know if it would be like what type of? Because I'm wondering, would it be like a produce retailer manufacturer?
Yeah. So groceries for that one. So ThomasNet, it's only about industrial stuff. It's mostly for dry van stuff. For that, for grocery, what you're gonna have to do is there's a conference called Food Shipper Conference. If you do anything food related, that's one. And second one, there's actually in grocery, there's actually a produce conference going on right now in Houston, Texas. Houston, Texas has a produce conference. I think this weekend, as we're speaking right now, it's happening. I met a trucking company. I think it's the Viva Fresh Expo, right? So that's why I heard this one from a broker at TIA. They're actually heading to this one this week. Right after they were going, they're here now. So yeah, so this is the attendee exhibitors. They're doing that. You can you can type in, like, when you say grocery, I would challenge you to be even more specific with that. Like within grocery, what are you looking at? We're looking at hauling vegetables, berries, because if you type in very specific, you can even find those to that detail. A berries conference, right? With stuff that you haul. I was just throwing names out there. I don't know if there's berries conference, but I think there will be. Not manufacturing, berries conferences.
For them, they're looking for like mapping out stuff to visit warehouse wise.
Oh, mapping out warehouse to visit.
Yeah.
In that case, is a couple ways to do is if you type in grocery warehouses. Yeah. Because I was never on the grocery side, but you can try that. Second way would be there are lists from your current delivery warehouses on your rate cons. So your rate confirmations, one way to do is rate confirmations. Look through your rate confirmations, list out the top 10, top 20 warehouse you deliver to, and based off that, you can search for company lookalikes right? Say, hey, company lookalikes. If you can name some of the grocery stores that you deliver to, you can actually look up the company lookalike, right? Reverse it where you say, hey, who are the company that look alike, the ones that we're currently delivering to, right? And also looking at your older reconfirmations that you're no longer working with that broker on, but you used to deliver there a lot. That broker either lost a deal with them or you're no longer working with a broker for a while, and without violating the contract, you can reach out to those people. And then you know that they work with brokers before, and you know that they have the load that exactly what you're looking for. Approach it with your rate and go in there. Go for it. I would recommend it that way.
Gotcha. Okay. Does that, so like being able to look at your rate confirmations, working backwards, seeing not the ones you're working on now with the brokers, but from way, way back. And then seeing, oh, we have a lot of customers that back then did like potatoes. Oh, there's a lot of potato customers that we had. Okay, let's look for companies that look like this, and we can Google it and find that. Does that kind of make a little bit more sense on how you can backtrack to find and search for them? Because at the end of the day, like Justin said, groceries it's a little bit more specific, but the more specific you get, like let's say to potatoes, that's when you're going to be able to find them a lot more easily. Because otherwise it's just too generic. And to Justin's point too, the conferences, these are some really great ones to go to. Again, the more specific you are with a conference, the better you're able to find that shipper.
And where is Juan located?
Juan and Moises. So Juan is Moises. They're like a dad and son kind of. Here, let me.
Where are they located? Where are they
You guys are
located?
located in Los Angeles, like we're in Southern California,
In Los Angeles County.
LA County.
LA County. So because you do grocery stuff, a lot of our grocery shippers who they work with is a co-chains. I'm sure you delivered to some of the co-chains. Co-chain near you, and then look it up, and then start. You can probably get a lot of a business by looking up the co-chain and start making relationship with them, right? Cold storage, co-chain. Ivy, if you go on Google, type in cold storage, co-chain storage, or cold storage, what you can find on there is you'll see, cold storage, because a lot of a grocery, they may not have a warehouse near where we are, and they often work with cold storage warehouses nearby. And if you have been delivering to those places already, great. If not, as you can see right here, there you go, CDS code. Lineage is probably too big. They're not going to talk to us. They have their own stuff too, right? CDS code. There's a bunch of on the map. So those would be the ones I would approach as well. Hey, this is what, when you approach them, you gotta be very, very specific, letting them know that this is what I do. This is a sample rate that I charge, right? How can I talk to you, right? So I don't know if you have already delivered to cold storage or not. Some of those storage places or not, but I'm assuming you probably work with a lot of those people too. If you haven't, they're definitely a great people to talk to because they know all the shippers. They know all the shippers. If you become friend with some of the co-chain warehouse managers or get some insiders from them, they know who the customers are that ship to their co-chain storage. So once you get to know them, I actually have a friend in the reefer business, and this is what he told me on how he find more customers is he became really good friends. He tried to become friends and deliver, donuts. Going to co-chain visit, he would bring 24 donuts, and he would visit them, become friends with them, and then at some points, like what Ferris did, ask them, hey, can I take you out for dinners? I want to know, what are some hobbies that you like? Oh, I love baseball game. Hey, I have, I know some tickets. I got some tickets, stuff like that. Become friends with them, and then what you do is they will tell you, hey, those are the people that come here to store, for to store their stuff right here. I'm not supposed to tell you, but I'm going to tell you, right? Just because you're my friend, and I like you, I want to help you out. And when you do that, you get to know the insider info, and you can reach out to the shippers. Hey, I'm nearby. I see that you guys deliver here, and how can I work with you?
Good questions.
When I said groceries, we're talking about store, right?
So you're talking about, so what Justin's saying, like you want to do like maybe groceries, but if you're having like reefer trailers, sometimes, the retailer might not be the direct person you go to. sometimes you're going to like these cold storage warehouses.
Right, cold storage.
Yeah, the cold storage, because that's where they have like inside the stuff that you need to deliver to the retailer, right?
Yeah, before they deliver to all the supermarkets, grocery stores, before they go there, a lot of times they store them in a cold chain first, and when they're ready, they deliver them. Or if you like, I actually never tried this. I never tried to visit like the grocery stores. When you're delivering them, Juan, when you're delivering those loads in person, the decision makers, where do you often run into them? Do you run into them when you're delivering to? Because it sounds like you're delivering straight to the supermarkets, right?
No, not the supermarkets. From the warehouse, like we can say, for example, like Albertsons or Vons, they had a warehouse, so we
Yeah.
deliver the load to them. But now, where that load coming from the warehouse, from the cold storage, right?
Probably.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
deliver to them to the store warehouse,
Yes.
like Albertsons or Vons or Stereo Brothers. Those warehouses,
Right.
distribution.
Because the distribution center.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in that case, Albertson doesn't own the product. Very likely, Albertson did not direct the traffic, order the truck to deliver to them. It's the customer. It's whoever you pick up from. From cold chain, often we don't know who the real shipper is. We know that we're going to cold chain to pick up, and we're delivering to Albertson, to Vons, to those different places, right? The real shipper, nobody ever told us who they are, and that's what I'm referring to. Is like the people who have that information is the cold chain managers, right?
You know,
They know those information from them.
I thought of an idea. This is top of mind, so correct me if I'm wrong. But like, so if you're doing reefer, temperature control, maybe it's like frozen burritos, or maybe it's like a frozen type of food product. Maybe can you find a company that does like, I remember I was talking to a shipper. They did frozen burritos and frozen Mexican food products. And then they delivered to stores like Albertsons and to Vons and other things like that.
Yeah.
So can you go from like a company brand that
Absolutely.
is, so we can do that too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When you do those, how many trucks do you have?
Right now, 8.
Eight trucks. When you have 8 trucks, those people you can try. But what happens is, just like Ferris, what they may tell you is you need to reach 20 trucks before work with you. So it doesn't hurt to try to visit them directly. But the ones who normally are a little bigger, they become a little pickier on which carriers they work with. So a lot of time but it doesn't hurt to try and ask them to figure out what they're telling you. By talking to about 5 to 10 of those warehouses who can talk to you, you have a better idea. Because it's a process of elimination on figuring out what the best lead is, right? To find those. In addition to that, we do have some leads in our system as well, where when people use for email marketing, we do provide the leads based on the criteria, right? What the commodity is, and start emailing them, and then by doing that, you can also find some shippers leads through that too.
I actually want to. This is a story I actually haven't shared before, but so my dad used to be an owner operator like Justin's dad, and he got to 3